St. Anne's Parish was founded in June of 1915. This is the newspaper clipping announcing the formation of the parish and the appointment of Father Powers as its first pastor. Throughout the presentation, you'll see cartoons similar to this. These were actually large drawings that were used to cover the windows during the Jubilee celebration in the rec center. This is Cedar and Coventry when they were just dirt roads. This is a picture of the original church. Note that across the top of the picture you can see the trusses before they were all framed in. A little closer view of the altar. The rectory was originally on Coventry and later moved to its present location. Father Powers was always on the lookout for bargains and items for the new church. A typical extravaganza with all the torchbearers, flower girls, and choir. For all the special occasions, the choir was always decked out with their cassocks, white surplice, starch collar, and black ties. This was the second floor room at the back of the old church. Note that there are only two greenhouses. The third was added later. And then in the lower right-hand corner you can see the garage, which was later replaced with the boiler house. Note the gabled roof above each window and the cupola. The cupola was later removed, and all the gabled windows were framed in to give a more monolithic look. A view from across Cedar Road. Note the streetcar tracks running down the center of Cedar. One of the great finds was 2 mint condition copies of the St. Anne's concert held December 11th, 1918 at Gray's Armory. This was the initial concert of the Cleveland Orchestra. This was also the debut of Nikolai Sokolov, its first conductor. The guest soloist was a very fine tenor by the name of John Mary Powers. On the last page of the program, there were remarks by Father Powers, and I always found the last paragraph in it very interesting. By our securing the orchestra and our presence at this, its initial concert, may we not hope to assist in stimulating the interest of music lovers of Cleveland, to the end that Cleveland Symphony Orchestra may soon march with the leading symphony orchestras of our great cities. This is one of the temporary school buildings that was used until the school was completed. Father Powers is always around adding his 2 cents as to how things should be done. Here you can see the little garage that was there long before the boiler house was built. Here we are looking up the driveway at the new boiler house. One of the other things I found down in the vault were a whole set of stereopticon slides of Father Powers and Pal. Everywhere Father went, Pal was with him. Behind the rectory, there was a very nice formal garden. Mike Zullo was the gardener and florist. There was a nice little flower shop built into the boiler house. Next to the rectory on Coventry, there were very fine clay tennis courts. These were lighted for night use, and it is my understanding that these were the first lighted tennis courts in Cleveland. As I mentioned, the rectory was originally on Coventry. It was moved straight back and eventually over to the left to its present location to make room for the new church. It is said that when Father Powers walked into this bank for the first time, he said, "This is my church." A brochure was put together describing the new church. The original rendering showed a cathedral ceiling, but it eventually was changed to a flat ceiling. This kind of shows the way it finally ended up. This is the exterior of the First National Bank building downtown, and this is the interior. And finally, the church. And again, Father Powers showing the guys how it's done.
Oh
This gives you a little perspective on the size of the columns in the front of the church. And this is the steel work in the sanctuary. One of the things that a lot of people are not aware of, that every other column in the church is actually a plaster cast surrounding the steel beams. In the lower part of the picture, you can see the steel tubing for the radiant heating that's cast into the floor. You can also see a square opening in the floor. This was supposed to be a pulpit that would rise up when needed, until somebody asked the question, what happens if somebody pushes the button while you're in the middle of your sermon? Here they're getting ready to hoist the cross to the top of the tower. It also gives you a pretty good idea of the actual size of the cross. Looks very small up on top of the tower. And the church is finally completed. This is the view from the top of the tower looking north toward the lake. As you can see from this aerial shot, the schoolyard has not yet been paved, and in front of the church across Coventry you can see the practice football field. If you look at the roof of the school, you can see that the third floor has not yet been added. The parking lot and the old practice football field have now been paved. As you can clearly see, the third floor addition has now been added to the school. This is a shot of the bells before they were all cleaned up and installed. Rumor has it that they were buried for protection for a number of years before they were dug up and then used. One of the areas I was able to explore was above the ceiling in the church. Each chandelier has its own winch and is accessible from a series of catwalks above the ceiling. This is the chapel, which is between the priest's sacristy and the rectory. In 1952, the new church was formally dedicated. It was quite an event, covered on television, tremendous number of dignitaries, and a whole lot of red and black in the church. Here we have Bishop Hoban, Cardinal Mooney, and Father Powers. The newspaper coverage is massive. All the local papers, a lot of out-of-town papers, even as far away as San Francisco. There was a brochure put together explaining all the things that were planned for the rec center. On the lower level under the stage, there was going to be a pool. At the opposite end, where the snack bar ended up, there was going to be a pool room. And where the skating rink ended up was going to be a bowling alley. Of course, none of these ever actually happened. For the 60th anniversary of the church, there were a number of events that took place. Following are some of the programs and documents that were produced for these events. A look at Father Powers in his younger years, then also his middle years, and finally later on in life. And he just loved being around with the kids. On February 4th, 1966, just shy of his 90th birthday, the force that was St. Anne's, the Reverend John Mary Powers, passed away. The old church was actually designed so that it could be easily converted to a rec center once a proper church could be built.